The soft blue glow of dozens of monitors lit up the underground chamber of Earth's Deep Space Monitoring Station. Located 200 meters beneath the Nevada desert, it was humanity's most advanced listening post, built to detect any sign of life beyond our solar system. Commander James Walker stood behind his team of operators, his arms crossed as he watched the unusual patterns flash across the main screen. For 3 days straight, the quantum arrays had been picking up something different in the cosmic background radiation, something that shouldn't be there. "Commander," called out Tom from his station, his fingers flying across the holographic keyboard. "It's happening again. Same pattern, but stronger this time." Walker leaned forward, his weathered face reflecting the dancing lights of the display. 20 years in Space Command had taught him one thing: there was no such thing as coincidence in space. "Get Dr. Thompson down here," he ordered, his voice calm but firm. Within minutes, Dr. Emma Thompson hurried into the control room, her white lab coat swishing as she moved. Her reputation as Earth's leading expert in xenocommunications had earned her this position, though she never expected to use her skills so soon. "Show me everything," she said, pulling up a chair next to Tom. The young operator quickly brought up 3 days' worth of data. The patterns looked like static to untrained eyes, but Emma saw something else. Her eyes widened as she began to decode this seemingly random noise. "This isn't natural," she muttered, more to herself than others. "These are packets of data, hidden in the background radiation. Someone's trying very hard to make this look like cosmic noise." Her fingers danced across the interface, applying filter after filter. Walker watched as strings of decoded data began appearing on the screen. "What are we looking at, Doctor?" Emma's face grew pale as she read. It's a conversation, Commander. Multiple sources, different points of origin, all discussing." She paused, double-checking her findings. "They're discussing Earth." The control room fell silent. Only the soft hum of computers could be heard as everyone processed this information. "Put it on the main screen," Walker ordered. The giant display lit up with streams of translated text. * quarantine status unchanged. Subject planet shows concerning advancement rate. **. Agreed. Their nuclear capabilities have expanded beyond predicted models. **. Recommendation to maintain isolation protocols. Previous species with similar patterns proved volatile. **. Emma's hands trembled slightly as she scrolled through more messages. "These aren't old communications, Commander. This is happening right now. They're watching us, discussing us like we're some kind of experiment." Walker's jaw tightened. "How many different sources are we detecting?" "At least 7 distinct points of origin," Emma replied, her voice steady despite her shock. "All well beyond our solar system. Commander, these beings, they've been coordinating. The timestamps in these messages go back months, years even. We're just now figuring out how to detect them." Tom raised his hand slightly, drawing attention. "Sir, should we alert the other stations?" "Pentagon." Walker shook his head slowly, his military training kicking in. "Not yet. First, we need to understand exactly what we're dealing with." He turned to Emma. "Dr. Thompson, how much of their communication can we decode?" "All of it, with time," she replied, "already setting up decryption algorithms. They're not trying to hide the content from each other, only from us. They never expected we'd advance enough to detect these signals, let alone decode them." Walker allowed himself a grim smile. "Then let's use that advantage. No alerts, no warnings. We keep this quiet." He looked around the room at his team. "As of this moment, we're under communications blackout. Nothing leaves this room without my direct authorization." The team nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. Humanity had just discovered it wasn't alone in the universe, but more importantly, they'd discovered they were being watched, studied, and deliberately isolated. As the team began their work analyzing the signals, Walker stared at the screen, his mind racing with implications. Humanity had always wondered if they were alone in the universe. Now they knew the truth. They weren't alone, but perhaps they were never meant to find out. At least not yet. Emma looked up from her station. Commander, there's more. These signals, they're not into a much larger and more dangerous universe. 3 weeks after the discovery, Commander Walker stood in a dimly lit vault deep within an old military base in Colorado. The room smelled of dust and aged paper, filled with rows of metal filing cabinets that hadn't been opened in decades. Dr. Thompson stood beside him, holding a tablet that glowed softly in the low light. "You're telling me it was here all along?" Walker asked, running his fingers over a cabinet marked 1947 to 1953. "Not just here," Emma replied, checking her tablet. "We found similar archives in Russia, China, and India. All hidden, all containing the same types of records." She pulled open a drawer, carefully lifting out a yellowed folder. The world's governments knew something was watching us. They just didn't know what. Walker picked up an old photograph from the folder. It showed a strange marking carved into a desert rock, dated 1962. "How far back do these records go?" "The oldest we found so far is from an archaeological dig in Egypt," Emma said, pulling up the image on her tablet. "These symbols were found inside an unopened tomb. They matched the alien language we're decoding from the signals." She paused, letting that sink in. "They're over 10,000 years old, James." A soft beep from Emma's tablet broke the silence. Tom's face appeared on the screen. "Doctor, Commander, you need to see this. We've finished analyzing those patterns you found in the ancient texts." Emma propped the tablet on a nearby shelf, and Tom shared his screen. A series of diagrams appeared, showing identical symbols found across different civilizations and time periods. "They're warnings," Tom explained, his voice tight with excitement. "But not warnings to us. They're warnings about us. Each of these marks classified Earth as potentially dangerous. They've been studying us since before we built the pyramids." Walker leaned against a cabinet, his mind racing. "The quarantine. It's been in place for thousands of years." Emma nodded, scrolling through more images. "But that's not all. Look at these." She pulled up a series of historical documents. Every major technological breakthrough in human history was followed by strange setbacks. Fires in libraries, unexplained deaths of key scientists, lost research. They were slowing us down, Walker realized, his voice hard. "Trying to control our development." "Trying and failing," Emma added with a hint of pride. "Humans are remarkably good at finding new solutions. When one path was blocked, we found another. Our adaptability. It's what scares them." The tablet beeped again. This time, it was General Roberts, head of military intelligence. "Walker Thompson, are you secure?" "Yes, sir," Walker replied. "Good. The President just signed the Guardian Protocol. Every major nation is on board. As of now, you have unlimited resources and complete autonomy. Find out everything you can about our visitors, but keep it quiet. We don't want them knowing we're onto them." After the call ended, Walker and Emma spent hours going through the files. They found reports of strange lights, unexplained signals, and mysterious technological failures. But more importantly, they found evidence of humanity's resilience. "Look at this," Emma said, holding up a report from 1989. "They tried to corrupt our early computer networks. Instead, we developed better security systems. Every time they pushed us back, we came back stronger." Walker smiled grimly. "No wonder they're worried. We're not just surviving their interference. We're learning from it." Emma's tablet lit up with a new message from her team. "James, we've decoded more of their recent communications. They're discussing increasing the quarantine measures. They think we're getting too close to discovering them." "Little late for that," Walker muttered, then straightened up. "How much of their technology can we understand from these archives?" "Enough to know we're not as far behind as they think," Emma replied. "These records show we've been reverse engineering their failed attempts to stop us for decades. We just didn't know what we were actually studying." Walker closed the file cabinet with a decisive click. Then it's time to put that knowledge to use. Have your team compile everything we found. And Emma. He paused at the vault's door. Don't send it electronically. We know they're watching our networks. As they left the archive, Walker couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. Humanity had been under alien surveillance for thousands of years, yet they had never stopped advancing. Now, with the truth finally uncovered, it was time to show their observers just how dangerous humanity could really be. 6 months after discovering the alien surveillance, the world carried on as usual, or so it seemed. On the surface, nothing had changed. But deep beneath the Earth's crust, humanity was preparing. Commander Walker stood in an underground facility in Australia, watching workers assemble what appeared to be standard communications satellites. But these weren't ordinary satellites. Hidden beneath their mundane exterior lay advanced defensive systems, designed using knowledge gained from the archives. "Status report," he said into his comm unit. "Public space programs continuing as planned, sir," Tom's voice replied. "NASA just announced another Mars mission. The Chinese are talking about their new space station. Everything looks normal from the outside." Walker smiled. The deception was working perfectly. While the aliens watched humanity's public space activities, the real work happened in secret. Underground facilities like this one existed on every continent, hidden from prying eyes above. Dr. Thompson walked in, carrying her ever-present tablet. "The disinformation campaign is working," she reported. "Our fake research papers about failed quantum experiments are spreading through the scientific community. They'll think we're still years away from any breakthrough." "And the real progress?" Walker asked. Emma's eyes lit up. "Better than we hoped. The shielding technology is ready. We can hide entire facilities from their scans now. The Russians have already moved 3 production plants underground." A large screen on the wall showed various sites around the world. Each dot represented a hidden facility: weapons development in Canada, propulsion research in Brazil, shield testing in South Africa. Humanity had become very good at keeping secrets. "What about the orbital platforms?" Walker asked, studying the display. "Almost ready," Emma replied. "The public thinks we're launching weather satellites. Even if they scan them, all they'll see is basic Earth technology. The real systems stay dormant until we need them." Tom's voice came through again. "Commander, you should see this." Pulling up the latest intercept. The screen changed to show decoded alien communications. Walker and Emma read in silence. Asterisk subject species showing reduced advancement rate. Recent experiments suggest significant delays in quantum research. Asterisk. Asterisk confirmed. Space program remains within predicted parameters. Asterisk. Asterisk recommendation. Maintain current observation level. No additional intervention required at this time. Asterisk. Walker allowed himself a small grin. "They're buying it. They think we're right where they want us." Emma nodded, but her expression was serious. "We can't get overconfident. One mistake, one slip, and they'll know something's wrong." "Agreed," Walker said. "How are the underground cities coming along?" "On schedule. The public thinks we're expanding subway systems and building deep storage facilities. By next year, we'll have enough shelter space for 30% of the global population." A young technician approached them, carrying a prototype weapon. It looked like a simple rifle, but its internal workings were based on reverse-engineered alien technology. "Final testing complete, sir. Mass production can begin whenever you give the word." Walker hefted the weapon, feeling its weight. "Distribute the plans through the secure network. Every facility with manufacturing capability starts production immediately." Emma checked her tablet again. "James, look at this. Our deep space sensors are picking up increased activity at the edge of the solar system. More observers joining the quarantine fleet." "Let them watch," Walker said, placing the prototype back in its case. "The more eyes they have on us, the more convinced they'll be that their containment is working." As they walked through the facility, They passed hundreds of workers, each focused on their tasks. Engineers assembled hidden weapons, scientists refined shielding technology, and strategists planned humanity's next moves. "Sometimes I wonder," Emma said quietly, "if we're proving them right. All this preparation for war. Maybe we are dangerous." Walker stopped and looked at her. "We're not preparing for war, Emma. We're preparing to survive." "There's a difference." He gestured at the busy facility around them. "Everything we're doing is because they didn't give us a choice. They tried to cage us, to stunt our growth. Now they'll learn why that was a mistake." Above them, the world went about its daily business, unaware of the massive deception taking place. In space, alien observers watched human TIV broadcasts, monitored public communications, and studied what they could see of Earth's technology. They saw exactly what humanity wanted them to see: a developing civilization, still years away from being a concern. They never suspected that beneath their feet, humanity was building an army. 1 year into Project Guardian, Dr. Emma Thompson stared at her computer screen, her eyes wide with disbelief. The code she'd been working on for months had finally worked. Behind her, banks of quantum computers hummed softly in the underground lab. "Run it again," she ordered her team. They'd been awake for 20 hours straight, fueled by coffee and determination. The test started, and the results came back the same. Emma reached for her secure phone. "James, we did it. Get down here now." Commander Walker arrived within minutes, looking like he'd run the whole way. "Show me," he said, slightly out of breath. Emma pointed to a small metal cube sitting in a testing chamber. On the screens above, alien sensor data showed nothing but empty space where the cube should be. "Perfect quantum shielding," she said, unable to keep the pride from her voice. "We can now hide anything from their scans." Walker walked around the chamber, studying the readings. "How big can we make it?" "That's the best part," Emma replied, pulling up new diagrams. "The bigger the better, actually. We've already started scaling up. Within 6 months, we can shield entire ships." Tom's voice came through the lab's speakers. "Doctor, Commander, there's more. The breakthrough isn't just in shielding." "Show them, Dr. Reed." A side screen lit up, showing another lab where Dr. Reed and his team worked on propulsion systems. The old scientist's face was beaming. "The quantum shielding solved our engine problems too," he explained. "We can now safely contain the energy from the fusion drives. No more radiation leaks. No more heat signatures. Our ships will be completely invisible." Walker leaned forward, his hands gripping the edge of the desk. "How soon can we start construction?" "The hidden shipyards are ready," Reed replied. "We've been building the hulls under the guise of submarine construction. Once we install the new engines and shields." He paused, smiling. "We'll have our fleet." Emma pulled up another screen showing a global map. Dozens of green dots lit up, marking the locations of underground and underwater construction facilities. Every major nation is ready. The moment we give the word, full production begins. "What about weapons?" Walker asked. "Already solved," Emma said, bringing up test footage. "Remember those rifle prototypes? We've scaled up the technology. Our ships will carry weapons based on the same principles. And thanks to the archives, we know they'll work against their shields." A young technician rushed into the lab, holding a tablet. "Sir, Doctor, you need to see this. We just cracked their latest communications. They're talking about reducing the quarantine fleet." Walker took the tablet, reading quickly. His face broke into a rare smile. "They think we're falling behind their expectations. All the fake data we've been feeding them, the setbacks we've staged. They believe we're actually regressing." Emma looked at the alien communications, shaking her head. "They're so convinced of their superiority, they never considered we might be fooling them." "How long until the defense grid is ready?" Walker asked. Emma checked her main display. "The last satellites go up next month. Disguised as regular communications hardware, of course. Once they're in position, We'll have complete coverage of Earth orbit. Walker nodded, his expression turning serious. And our ships. First Fleet will be ready in 8 months. 12 ships, fully armed and shielded. Enough to defend Earth or... She paused. Take the fight to them, if we have to. The lad fell quiet as everyone considered the implications. For the first time in human history, they had the means to not just detect alien life, but to stand against it as equals. Start full production, Walker ordered, but maintain the deception. As far as they know, we're still a primitive species struggling with basic spaceflight. Emma looked at the quantum shielding device, then at the weapon schematics, and finally at the ship designs. Years of secret work, reverse engineering, and careful planning had led to this moment. Humanity hadn't just caught up to their watchers. In some ways, they'd surpassed them. It's almost time, isn't it? She asked quietly. Walker nodded. Almost. But first, we need to make sure every ship is ready, every weapon is tested, and every shield is perfect. When we finally reveal ourselves, he smiled grimly. We'll do it on our terms. In orbit, alien observers continued their routine scans of Earth, completely unaware that directly beneath them, humanity was building a force that would soon change the galaxy forever. The day humanity broke its silence began like any other. In underground bases across the world, crews ran final checks on their equipment. In orbit, cloaked satellites waited for the signal. And in the main command center beneath the Nevada desert, Commander Walker stood before a bank of screens, watching the countdown. All stations report ready. Tom announced from his console. Defense grid is active but still hidden. First Fleet is in position. Dr. Thompson worked at her station, fingers flying over the controls. Broadcasting channels are ready. We can reach every alien observation post we've detected. Walker looked around the room at the faces of his crew. For 2 years, they had prepared in secret. Now it was time to show their cards. Begin transmission countdown. Activate the quantum arrays. Around the world, hidden transmitters powered up. In space, disguised satellites switched to their true configurations. Years of deception were about to end. Sir, Emma said softly, are we sure about this? Once we send the message, there's no going back. Walker nodded. They'd watched us long enough. Time to let them know we've been watching them too. He straightened his uniform. Start the broadcast. Emma pressed a series of commands. Across the galaxy, alien communication channels suddenly carried a new signal, clear, strong, and deliberately aimed at each observation post. This is Earth. Walker's voice was calm but firm as he spoke into the transmitter. To all species maintaining the quarantine of our world, we know you're there. We've known for some time. In the command center, screens showed the alien channels erupting with activity. Their hidden observers were suddenly scrambling to respond. For thousands of years, you've watched us, Walker continued. You've tried to slow our progress, contain our growth, and keep us isolated. You marked our world as dangerous, our species as a threat. He paused. You weren't entirely wrong. Emma's screens lit up with incoming signals as alien observers began responding. Their messages showed confusion and alarm. We are dangerous, Walker said, his voice carrying across the stars. Not because we want war, but because we refuse to be caged. Not because we seek conflict, but because we will always defend ourselves. He nodded to Emma, who activated a second set of transmitters. Across the solar system, quantum shields dropped briefly, revealing glimpses of Earth's true capabilities. The orbital defense grid, the hidden fleet, the advanced weapons arrays. This is not a declaration of war, Walker continued. This is a warning. We are no longer the primitive species you've been watching. We have survived your interference. We have learned from your attempts to hold us back. And we have prepared. The alien channels were chaos now. Emergency signals flashed between their observation posts as they realized the full extent of humanity's deception. As of this moment, The quarantine of Earth is over. We are claiming our place among the stars, not as your subjects, not as your experiment, but as equals. Any attempt to enforce the old restrictions will be met with force. Emma's console beeped with urgent notifications. They're calling for reinforcements, she reported. Multiple fleet movements detected at the edge of our sensor range. Walker nodded, expecting this. Send the second part of the message. New data streamed out from Earth's transmitters, proof of their technological capabilities, evidence of their preparations, and demonstrations of their defensive systems. But not everything. They carefully held back their most advanced developments, keeping some advantages in reserve. We offer peace, Walker's voice carried across space again. We're willing to join your galactic community, to trade, to share knowledge. But we will do so as a free species, with all the rights and respect that entails. He paused, letting the message sink in. You have 12 Earth hours to respond. Choose carefully. We're ready either way. The transmission ended, leaving a profound silence in the command center. After thousands of years of being watched, humanity had finally spoken back. Multiple alien signals detected, Tom reported. They're talking to each other faster than we can decode. Walker watched the screens, showing dozens of alien ships moving toward Earth. Now we wait, he said calmly. Let them think about what we've shown them. And what we haven't. Emma looked up from her station. Do you think they'll choose peace? They should, Walker replied. Because now they know, if they choose war, they'll find out just how dangerous we really are. Above them, Earth's hidden defenses remained ready, while in deep space, the quarantine fleet faced a decision that would shape the future of galactic relations forever. 11 hours after Earth's message, the Nevada Command Center buzzed with tension. Hundreds of alien ships had gathered at the edge of the solar system, but none had crossed the line humanity had drawn. Commander Walker stood at the main console, watching the tactical display. Red dots marked each alien vessel, forming a ring around their solar system. Dr. Thompson worked nearby, decoding the storm of alien communications. They're arguing among themselves, Emma reported, studying the translations. Some want to attack immediately. Others are calling for talks. She looked up at Walker. They're scared, James. They never expected this level of development from us. Good, Walker replied. Fear will make them think twice about fighting. He turned to Tom. Status of our defenses. All systems ready, sir. Defense grid is fully charged but still hidden. First Fleet is in position behind Mars. Second Fleet is ready to launch from the underwater bases if needed. A new alert flashed across the main screen. Emma's fingers flew across her keyboard. Incoming transmission. They're responding ahead of our deadline. Walker straightened his uniform. Put it through. The screen lit up with an image that made everyone in the command center catch their breath. 3 alien representatives appeared, each one different from the others. One seemed made of crystalline structures. Another was clearly aquatic, and the third looked almost plant-like. Earth, the crystal being, spoke first, its voice translated by their computers. Your message was unexpected. That was the point, Walker replied calmly. The aquatic alien moved forward. You have hidden much from us. This shows dangerous thinking. We hid because you gave us no choice, Walker countered. You put our world in a cage. Did you expect us to just accept that? The plant-like being raised what looked like a hand. The quarantine was for the safety of all species. Your kind shows aggressive tendencies, rapid advancement, unpredictable behavior. Emma stepped forward. You mean we adapt? We grow. We refuse to stay within the limits others set for us. The aliens conferred among themselves briefly. The crystal being spoke again. We have reviewed your demonstration of power. Your technology is concerning. It's defensive, Walker said firmly. We built it to protect ourselves, but we'd rather use it to protect others, as allies. Another alert flashed. Tom's voice was tense. Sir, detecting power spikes from multiple alien ships. They might be preparing weapons. Walker didn't flinch. "I wouldn't advise that," he said to the aliens. "You haven't seen everything we can do. You don't want to find out the hard way." The aquatic alien's colors shifted. "You threaten us?" "No," Walker replied. "I'm promising you that any aggressive action will be met with equal force. But I'm also offering you a chance to avoid that completely." Emma's console beeped rapidly. "The alien fleet is dividing," she reported. "Some ships are powering down weapons. Others are maintaining battle stations." The plant being's colors darkened. "The Quarantine Council is split. Some believe you must be contained. Others—" It paused. "Others believe we must accept the new reality." Walker allowed himself a small smile. "The new reality is simple. Earth is ready to join the galactic community. As equals, not as subjects, not as experiments. The choice is yours." The crystal being glowed brightly. "And if we choose to enforce the quarantine?" In response, Walker nodded to Emma. She pressed a sequence of commands. Around the solar system, dozens of hidden defense platforms revealed themselves briefly before vanishing again. Near Mars, Earth's first fleet decloaked for just a moment. "Then you'll learn exactly why you were right to mark us as dangerous," Walker said quietly. The aliens conferred again, their discussion clearly heated. Finally, the crystal being spoke. "We request time to discuss terms." "Granted," Walker replied. "But our ships stay ready, our defenses stay active, and your fleet stays where it is." As the transmission ended, Emma turned to Walker. "They're splitting into factions. The Quarantine Coalition is breaking apart." Walker nodded, watching the alien fleet's movements. Some ships were already pulling back. "They're realizing that fighting us would cost too much." He looked around the command center. "Now comes the hard part." "What's that?" Tom asked. "Proving we can be trusted as allies," Walker replied, "without showing weakness." Above them, the alien fleet continued to divide, while Earth's hidden defenses stood ready for whatever choice they would make. 1 month after Earth's revelation, Commander Walker and Dr. Thompson stood on the observation deck of humanity's first diplomatic vessel, watching Earth grow smaller behind them. Their ship, named Unity, carried representatives from every major nation toward a historic meeting. "Hard to believe we're actually doing this," Emma said, checking the data on her tablet one last time. "First official diplomatic mission to the Galactic Council." Walker nodded, his eyes on the stars ahead. "Even harder to believe they agreed to our terms." The past month had seen rapid changes. After the Quarantine Coalition split, the more progressive alien species had quickly moved to establish relations with Earth. They were fascinated by humanity's ability to advance despite interference, and more than a little impressed by their deception. Latest report from Earth. Tom's voice came through the ship's speakers. "The technology exchange with the crystal beings is going well. They're especially interested in our quantum shielding." "Of course they are," Walker smiled. "They spent weeks trying to scan our ships before realizing they couldn't." Emma pulled up new images on the main display. They showed alien ships docked at Earth's new orbital stations, while human vessels prepared for their first deep space missions. 3 more species have requested alliance treaties, she reported. "They want our help developing defensive systems." "The hunters becoming the protectors," Walker mused. "Ironic." The Unity sensors detected movement ahead. A massive space station came into view, the headquarters of the Galactic Council. Ships of various designs moved around it, including several Earth vessels that had arrived earlier. "Message from the Council," Tom announced. "They're ready for us." As they approached the station, Emma noticed something interesting. Some alien ships moved away from their course, giving them extra space. "They're still afraid of us," she said quietly. "Good," Walker replied. "A little fear will help keep the peace while we build trust." He adjusted his uniform. "What's the status of our hidden facilities?" "Still operating at full capacity," Emma answered. "The public ones handle diplomatic relations and trade, while the underground bases continue developing new defensive systems. She smiled. We're keeping some secrets, just in case. The Unity docked smoothly at the station. Through the windows, they could see representatives from dozens of species gathering in the reception area. The crystal being who had first spoken to Earth led the welcoming committee. Remember, Walker said as they prepared to disembark, we show strength and friendship in equal measure. Emma nodded, the perfect balance between ally and deterrent. They walked through the ship's corridors toward the airlock. Crew members stood at attention as they passed. Each one represented humanity's best. Scientists, soldiers, diplomats, all trained for this historic moment. Message from the Aquatic Federation. Tom reported one last time. They're formally withdrawing their opposition to Earth's emergence. The quarantine is officially over. Walker and Emma paused at the airlock. Through the window, they could see the alien delegation waiting. Some looked nervous, others curious, and a few seemed genuinely excited to meet them. 2 years ago, we discovered we were being watched, Emma said softly. Now we're about to join their council as equals. Not just equals, Walker corrected her. Leaders. Half these species have already asked for our protection. They've seen what we can do, how we think, how we prepare. He turned to face her. We're not just joining their community. We're changing it. The airlock cycled, and the doors began to open. The moment had come to step into humanity's new role in the galaxy. Ready? Walker asked. Emma smiled. We've been ready for thousands of years. We just didn't know it. They stepped forward together into the bright lights of the council chamber. Hundreds of alien eyes watched them, some with fear, others with respect, but all with the understanding that the galaxy had changed forever. Earth, once quarantined as a dangerous world, had emerged as a powerful new force. Their warning had been heard, their strength had been proven, and their future was now their own to shape. The age of isolation was over. The new era of humanity had begun.